Alright, well this is Aaron Squire coming to you guys again this week. This week, episode 76, we've got the Majesty of Controversy coming at you. So Fridged is here, hanging out with me again. We just found out that, or I just found out that Thanksgiving is completely different in Canada. I guess it's on.
Oh, we didn't capture the Thanksgiving argument.
Well, I mean, we can probably I can always put that in later because it's local recorded. So I'll throw that in at the end like as an Easter egg. But there's it's like apparently it's the third weekend for all of us people in the U.S. and then for Canada it's the what is it the second weekend of October.
Yeah. There's the difference.
It's gotta feel weird.
There.
Anyways, tonight on Thunderfield Seer, we're going to go over some of the missed messages that I had on Twitch. The Kimmel controversy, the Majesty controversy, the ESL Beta Cup, the VIP deck list, and we're going to finish things up with a deck doctor, which we hope will be able to deal with a Majesty deck. So first things first, I just want to say, everybody that tried to message me on Twitch, like last year, especially around that December time frame, apparently if I don't follow you and if I've never messaged you, it just goes into like this junk folder area, and I had no idea it existed. So I'm really sorry. I missed like a ton of messages from you. So please go ahead and keep messaging me on Twitch, but maybe send me a message on Twitter or something too. If you're messaging, I don't know, just message me and I will do my best to do better in the future. I just want to say really sorry about that. And then one quick thing before I talk to Fridged about some stuff from last week. We had 4 people, looks like 4 people that posted on the thing. So this is going to be for a convocation pack. So I will go ahead and roll the low-tech dice. If I can find the low-tech dice. Oh, yep, here we go. So it's a D4 this week. So I've got my wonderful Magic Missile D4, and it looks like it's going to be a 4. So the 4th person down is going to be for his name is Ahaha, apparently Vinso Bruzano, and you'll get a convocation pack. So I guess while I'm opening this, Fridge, tell me about what you've been doing lately. What you've been up to?
Oh man, I've been playing in Dragonfall, which is a Shadowrun game for the PC. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it quite a lot. It's kind of a strategy game, kind of like an XCOM light kind of style.
I love XCOM.
Yeah.
People don't like to watch me play XCOM because I did post a couple videos of it, but yeah.
The writing is excellent. I've never played a Shadowrun game since the early Sega Genesis days. I had fond memories of that game. So when I saw it for sale, I snapped it up. I didn't touch it for months and months, but I just cracked into it, and it's really a stellar piece of work.
Sounds really awesome. I kind of need to look into it. All right, well, it looks like that the Ahaha person won a Cloud Queen, so congratulations. What I'm going to do this time, instead of sending you the code, I'm going to just actually get the code and use it on my account, and then I'll mail the card to you. I think that'll work better. We had some problems with the codes before, and I've contacted Fentio about those, but yeah. So only other thing is, the next time I'll be at a convention will be PAX South, and I just found out that I've actually been getting into Relic Knights. If you've been following me on Twitter this week, I'm trying to get a good feel for that and maybe do some miniature battle reports on that and some other stuff. But it looks like I have been somewhat maybe accepted as part of the Ninja Corps for Soda Pop Miniatures. So that's pretty exciting for me to be able to possibly work their booth and get into the game industry that way and get that kind of experience on the.
Wait, you've been accepted as a ninja?
Yeah, apparently. Like, well, they've dubbed me a ninja, possibly. Like, I didn't get the actual confirmation. As like that's what they call their what do you call them? Their people that work for them, type of thing.
I didn't know ninjas could be temps.
It's like it's like an intern thing. Yeah, so
okay. I did not actually know that they had intern ninjas. That's
intern
cool.
ninjas, yes. Only as Soda Pop Miniatures, though. So let's talk about this controversy. Apparently, Jimmy Kimmel. I always say Kimball, but it's Kimmel. He basically did some lampooning of people that stream, so myself, Fridged, all the people that stream basically, because YouTube is kicking off its video game service, which I actually think is a great thing. because he just apparently he can't understand why people enjoy watching video games, and that's fine. You know what? He's a comedian. That's what he's paid to do. Someone on his staff thought that would be funny. And you know what? It was somewhat funny to me, but then some other things, like I feel like for people that don't understand, it's probably funnier about streaming and that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it as a streamer. Fridge, how did you feel about it when you saw it? You just saw it today, right?
No, I saw about it pretty much right after it aired. Because I don't know, I saw it in a post somewhere or something like that. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Kimmel's a funny guy. I wouldn't even necessarily give the writing room credit on that one. And you know, he makes a lot of his own jokes. Maybe he came up with it himself. It was fine. Yeah,
I mean, I have to think
got no
that
issue
they
with
knew,
it.
though. Like someone may have said, "Okay, this may blow up in our face a little bit." Like it got a lot of downvotes, which he apparently, and then he got some death threats and other things. And I just want to say, hey, it's not cool, guys. The gaming community, we need to, like, you know, be able to like shake some stuff off. If he can make fun of politicians and other things, and they can also, you know, just shirk him off as a, you know, comedy person, I think that we should be able to do that as well as a gaming community.
You know why Christians are my favorite religious group of people?
Oh man.
Because they can take a joke and they can make jokes about themselves. Whereas I went to like a high school.
I was expecting something else.
And no. And they just, I love the Baha'i religion. I love the Baha'i faith. They have great tenets. Sure. But they always come at any kind of mockery as like, oh, it's us against the world. This is the worst persecution since like Baha'u'llah got hung and shot or whatever. It's just like, you know, if somebody makes fun of you, that's all they're doing. They're just making fun. You should either roll with it or play along with it, or just say, hey, I didn't like it, but you know, I'm not gonna like, you know, wring my hands and go, oh Lord, we're being persecuted. It's a joke, right? Yeah, and that's why I love Christians, is because they can make jokes about themselves and they can take jokes.
I'd have to say I appreciate that.
Yeah.
My Twitter feed does say I'm Christian, and that is also true.
Gamers,
as well as being
get
a pizza
over
connoisseur.
yourselves.
As well as being
That's
a pizza
all
connoisseur.
I have to say about this whole Kimmel thing, is gamers, get over yourselves. You're mostly white, you're mostly well off, your life is not that bad. You can have somebody make fun of you.
Yeah, that's true. Moving on, we've got the other big controversy this week, which was on Reddit. It's up to 150 posts on it, which is a lot for our Reddit thread right now. The Hex TCG, it's time to ban Titania's Majesty, and here's why. And so, of course, it was started by Mock. It's, I don't know. To me, Titania's Majesty is definitely format defining, dominant in the format, but I don't think that it's unbeatable. At the same time, I think there's plenty of things that we can do. It just feels bad when you get Titania's and they win all in one turn. It's just kind of a negative play experience, I think. But I was looking at some of the deck lists today, and it just feels like a lot of times they're going to have a lot of bad opening hands. You know, and I've played the deck as well. I play a more a less like, if you draw the nuts, you win automatically type of thing. I play more of a, let's try to actually play these cards if we don't draw Titania's Majesty version of the deck. But
you're an elfy build. You run the
I run the elf version. Yeah. So
less powerful, slightly more consistent.
Yeah.
It's just basically trading power for consistency.
I love consistency.
Yeah. I certainly don't hate it. I've definitely tooled around with it.
Yeah. Well, yes, you have. Because I've seen you run it in a couple of tournaments, right? So, and you've had some success, right, with it?
Oh, I was talking about the elf build, but yes.
Oh, the elf build.
His Majesty, yes.
So one of the other interesting things about this whole thread, besides it being so long, is the fact that Fentio actually, he actually posted in here like at least 4 times that I counted. He's basically said that they're looking at it and they're seeing what they can do, but I don't think there's very much that's going to change in this season. I think we're basically stuck with it until set 4 comes out, and maybe there'll be something in there that may push the balance in a different direction, or maybe a new counter. or something like that in Sapphire or some other things. But
yeah, it's not a stretch to say that Sapphire will get more counters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add on there, throw on about Titania's in your own personal opinion? Do you feel like it's overpower format defining, it's unstoppable, or do you feel like it's fine where it is?
Overpowered, unstoppable, no. Overpowered, possibly. Format defining, well, I mean, that's a pretty easy one.
Right.
I played for Titania's Majesty to 4-0s in both VIPs that I entered. My group, my testing group, Dragonborn, has been responsible for a lot of the wins with the deck, and it's because I think we put a lot more playtesting into the deck than most people put into any sort of playtesting of any deck, and that's, you know, partly because we have a lot of the dedicated Hex players in our playtest group, and sure. It's difficult. It's difficult to playtest unless you have like a pool of 8 to 10 dedicated people. So we're definitely going to take another crack at the deck next week. See if there was ways that we can refine it. See if there's ways that we can fight it. We came up with, you know, like Blood Diamond Prairie Feather deck that did pretty reasonably against it. Some versions of Mono Blood. Some other decks to fight it, and I believe Lucian did quite well with a counter Titania's deck, and he's part of our testing group. So, you know, we certainly have some reasonable minds going at taking cracks at it. The problem is finding a deck that just can consistently beat it, and I don't even know if one exists. But we currently, since there's just an unimportant low-stakes tournament coming up this weekend, and the Cup is the weekend after that, we won't be doing any dedicated Titania cracking until at least after, you know, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Best not to tip your hand for the tournaments that don't really matter.
Right.
Yeah.
So on the next one, we've got the ESL Hex Beta Cup. So they're done testing to see if it's going to be popular enough. It looks like they're going forward with the ESL, and the best thing is it's still free for everyone, and you can win $100 apparently as you win these tournaments. Looks like there's still going to be single elimination, and the first one's going to be on Sunday. I went ahead and signed up for that one because I do have Monday off along with a lot of other people. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I need to actually hop on and start doing some more of the asynchronous side of the tournament, where you can try to like sign up and see if there's someone available to play against you with the ESL. But it seems like it's going to be a great thing to really hop on. Actually, it looks like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm looking at down here. The weekly beta cups are $100, and then the monthly finals are it looks like $150. So, and then $200 for the beta cup series, the final series, I guess. So it's a lot of money on the line for free. I mean, seems like a good thing to hop on. Fridge, are you going to be playing in any of these?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've already done 2 of the ESL cups. I was planning to do all 3, just things came up. But yeah, I unfortunately went out round 3 and 4, I believe, in the 2 that I did enter. But yeah, it's been a reasonably smooth experience.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. I love the single elimination. It feels like it really speeds the tournament up.
Oh, it speeds it up insanely. I do prefer Swiss to single elimination because it does feel less
fair.
Swingy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just I feel like I have a better chance to top 8 in a Swiss format than a single elim format, but I don't mind going out in such a swift period of time. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
It's nice to mix things up a bit. I certainly have no issue with single elimination.
Well, plus imagine a future where this gets popular enough that they can play this tournament every day, you know, like where it's a single elimination tournament every day. Then that's not going to feel bad at all, because like over the course of time you would hopefully have better, you know, good days and bad days, and you know, as long as your skills shows through, you know, you can get that, you know, 60% win rate and, you know, do pretty well. That's the way I look at it. All right, so let's move on to the Hex patch notes for today before we talk about the deck list from last week that did so well in the what was it, the VIP deck lists from last week. So stress test is tomorrow, September 5th, so try to show up for that to try to help out. I'm going to do my best to get on for that. Most of the time the stress tests end with us not actually playing the tournament, but you never know what's going to happen. And then down here we've got the Voice of Entrath. So basically this is the guys doing all the Foley and a lot of the different like card sounds for the game. And it was pretty interesting. I encourage you all to get out and listen to the video at the bottom where he talks about the different cards and what he did to like come up with the sounds, and how it's like so many different sounds that he compiled together to make the final, you know, like 2 or 3 seconds of sound every time you play those cards. It's pretty neat. Did you spend any time looking at this?
I didn't. I don't really read the updates, I'll be honest.
All right, he's honest. And then we basically are heading over to the VIP results, and then reminding you about the ESL Beta Cup. But the sound has really stepped up after the patch, so I wanted to mention that. It's definitely gotten a lot better in the game. We had somebody that, I forget what his name is, one of our 5 Shards people that wanted me to mention that, so I just want to mention that, yeah, they're putting a lot of work into a lot of different things. On top of that, if you do watch this video until the very end, at the end it shows you a sneak peek of the Dwarven Quarry and the PvE content, so it's basically like some different pictures and they're scrolling past you, kind of to give you like an intro into the Dwarven Quarry, and so it's pretty neat to watch, and a lot of really cool sounds in there.
I don't think this update would be up my alley either, since I've had sound off since like day 1 of X.
Well, you should watch it at least so you can see the Dwarven Quarry at the very bottom. You should at least do that.
Yeah, I probably won't.
So last week we had the VIP tournament, and surprise, surprise, I'd say, what was it? Probably like 60% of the decks that made it through were the typical Cressida, Titania's Majesty ramp decks that are trying to pull out those calamities.
I went 4-0 twice, and 7 of my matches were
here you are, Fridge.
Titania's decks. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think one of the more interesting things in here, and I really actually like, is Drew's Colossal Walker. And I had seen some people running this, but I felt like that was pretty good. And then Eternal Guardian also was one at the very end of the ESL tournament that I did play that really hosed me. And I really didn't expect it to be so dominant, because I felt like, well, if they have an Eternal Guardian play, there's a very good chance I'll just play Crocosaur and deal with it. So also the 3 Heat Wave is kind of interesting to me in here.
Yeah, Drew's Colossal Walker was actually my contribution to the deck. I'm not gonna say that I came to it any particular way other than brute force. We tested absolutely everything. We tested Jadim, we tested Eternal Drifter, we tested Battle Beetle, or Eternal Champion, sorry, not Drifter.
Yeah.
Just by process of elimination, I went through every single wild card, and then going through the artifacts, just looking for some kind of 5-drop that we could play reliably on turn 3 or 4, that could actually make a positive impact to the game. We found out, hey, this thing trades with Root Father a non-zero percentage of the time. This thing actually does 8 damage and sometimes 16. This thing combos with Root Father to deal 16 crush damage. This is actually a good card in the deck. And so I feel like when we first came out with so the list has gone through some revisions, but when we first came out, that was probably the major innovation to the Titania's deck was the Colossal Walker, and just moving away from the greedy builds, from the Ozawa builds, from the just handful of uncastable crap that you generally ended up with. And this is a deck that does not mulligan well. This is a deck that doesn't want to ever go to 6. And if you go to 5, oh my lord, help
For this
you.
one, you're the one you played?
I just mean
or you're saying the
Titania.
other ones.
So we tried to find a build that would mitigate that and would at least have it so that you weren't having to mulligan all the time, because that is primarily how this deck loses.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think that really kind of evens out with Titania is it feels like most of the decks I was looking at were like 14 to like 16 very large troops that were really hard to cast, and Druze is probably one of the easiest cards to cast in here. Even Crocosaur, sometimes I find myself sitting there at 2 wild shards and being like, well, I hope I find a 3rd wild shard, because otherwise this is just sitting in my hand. I mean, you would think that this would be not that hard to get to, but surprisingly it is a lot. So yeah, it feels like with this deck the only big thing I would probably target is Puck, like with the deck I've got. Like, but it feels like your deck would beat mine, my particular build of this deck.
Yes, like. and generally it has, because the decks that are looking to play Periwinkle, and that's why we moved away from Periwinkle, get blown out so badly by cards like Crocosaur and Heatwave, so that we find when somebody's playing Howling Brave into Puck, into Periwinkle, you're just like on the other side of the board, Heatwave, as they're stuck with absolutely
3
nothing,
shards,
no resources and no cards to fight back. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and the only other thing is, like, when I built mine,
we've kind of gravitated Periwinkle to the side.
Yeah, and I still like Periwinkle a lot, and but he's still one of those you do have to answer, which is like I think why I enjoy playing him. In the deck. My whole goal with setting up the deck was making it so that there were a ton of good like troop targets for it. So I only ran the 4 Titanias. And then 2, what is it called? The other card. Not Chlorophilia. The one that looks at all the cards.
Well, it's like the same side of 2 different coins.
Yeah.
You're going for consistency with your elf build. You want to be able to play 8 special resources, so that you're always going to be able to meet your thresholds.
Yeah.
I haven't found too much problem with thresholds, but I want to always be able to leverage my cards towards winning the game. So I find swingy cards like Eye of Creation and Periwinkle are not my cup of tea, because I want consistency, and Periwinkle and Eye of Creation are the kind of cards that when they're good, they're very, very good, and when they're bad, they're very, very bad.
Eye of Creation for 14 because you doubled it with Periwinkle. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that doesn't happen that often.
No, it does not.
Moving on to some of the more interesting decks, and I just say that because these are different decks that we are not specifically the Titania ramp combo deck. The most interesting one to me was this one that Archivist is playing, which is a Winter Moon deck, and Winter Moon shuffles cards back into your deck. So the first time I saw this, I was like, oh, well, I love that, because I like being able to deck build and like throw things back into my deck and be consistent and all this other stuff. So I was like, okay, I tried it, couldn't get it to work, but this deck apparently works because it made it through. He's running a playset of Blinding Light in here.
I've run into Archivarius.
Go ahead.
I've run into Archivarius probably not too often, maybe half a dozen times, and I've been in the constructed queue a lot. I've grinded out about 180 packs in the constructed what do they call that? Or you just play one best.
The
gauntlet,
constructed gauntlet.
And I haven't really lost to this deck, but like I said, I've only played it a few times, and I have seen it beat Havoc, who's also running Titanias, and it's definitely a cute deck, and it's definitely got some real game. I feel like in the best of 3, when you're bringing in things like Master Moss, you're going a bit too fast for this deck. So this is more of a deck that thrives in the best of 1 format, or against people that aren't prepared to lower their curve to go faster. This is the kind of deck that once you do lower your curve, it feels like a very bad matchup for them.
Yeah, it feels like I would be fine playing like tons of elves against this.
Oh yeah.
But the interesting thing is, like, basically what it looks like it's trying to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it's basically trying to play like your Thunderfield Seers to add onto all these cards, like your blinding lights and your counter magics and that sort of thing, so that they just draw you more cards, and eventually like you just keep making it so your opponent can't deal damage to you, and either make them draw out or mass polymorph Dingler them, and then like Root Father or something.
Yeah, it's probably not the kind of deck that you're gonna beat before he hits 40 cards in his deck, but you need to beat him before he hits about 26-ish cards in his deck. At that point, once he gets that low on cards in his deck, then he's really going to start taking control of the game. Yeah. And he's really going to get close to, you know, mass polymorphing you or whatnot.
I also think
since it's quite likely he's found one by then.
Counter Magic, he's running just Verdict. I guess that's for Titania's.
Yes. So, like I said, I've played this guy a number of times, and they've generally been at least longish, reasonably long games, usually ending like turn 14, 15. And it's not a deck that I think has a great matchup against Titania's, but it's very hard to find that mystery deck. And I know that he can catch a lot of the greedier builds flat-footed. In fact, I think the greedier builds probably have a very poor matchup against him.
Oh, yeah. Next, we've got Mortikal with a Benoshi, basically sacrifice deck. Benoshi the Ruthless allows you to sacrifice a troop and then get another troop +2/+2. It's a mono blood build. It's kind of mid-rangey. It's got that extinction in there. It's got the, you know, you must play Inquisition nowadays because of Titania's decks. It's only running 3. I think I would have to run 4 personally, but that's just my particular bend. Minion of Yakuzan, I played this last season. That was a fun one to play, and then he's running the a playset of Vampire King's Princesses, 2 Vampire Kiss, and then Withering Touch. He's got 3 of these, and I guess I don't know, for me, like, Withering Touch is pretty good against Titania's because it gets Titania's, and I guess it gets Chlorophylla, but it feels like I'd really want more Inquisition. But seems like an interesting deck.
Yeah, this is a deck that's very weak to having, since it's only got, you know, like 2 win cons in its deck, Vampire King and Vampire Princess. So if you remove those things, like, there's not a lot of removal being run in the format right now.
Right.
But say like a Blood Diamond deck would just run Train all over this deck, or like a different build of Mono Blood. It seems to me, it would have a huge problem with this deck. And my side currently, I'm running 4 Turbulence. Those do a lot of work against this sort of deck. Oh, yeah. It's definitely a deck that's built to like strip your hand early and then lay down 1 threat and kill you very quickly with that 1 threat. Right. But if you know what they're doing and you're properly prepared, I don't think it's a very hard deck to beat.
It almost seems like, though, with Vampire King you would want less of, because like Vampire King, you only want 1 threat so you can like avoid Crocosaur, you know? So like if Vampire King hits something, it's like, well, now Crocosaur is live.
Right, but it's kill both still a 2-for-2, right? Because he stripped a card out of your hand. He stripped a card out of your hand already. So when you Crocosaur and kill his king, it's actually, no, that's a 2-for-1, I believe, in his favor, because your Crocosaur dies and he gets 2 cards, his Vampire King and 1 of yours. Yeah, it's even if you Crocosaur him, it's still a 2-for-1 in his favor, as long as he has the Cogdipetal's Thirst on that, so the Crocosaur dies.
Right.
Yeah.
What else about this deck? I mean,
it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. It seems interesting. It's got a lot of nice sack targets. You got your Disciple of Yakuzan as well, but yeah.
Really keeps interrupting me.
Moving on. We've got another Kranich deck where Neurogenius is basically, he's drawing cards, he's gaining life. It's another mid-range. He's running less of the sacrifice cards and more the typical mono blood cards that just push through the damage with Monsoon, Shogun of Windjin, your Exarch of the Egg, and then I think he's running. Where is he? No, it doesn't look like he's running, what's his name, Fentio in here. So just another mid-range deck. I don't know that it really adds too much more than what we just said. It's mid-range blood.
Yeah, well, he's running the Exarchs, of course, as Crocosaur protection, so that at least, you know, the Crocosaur dies, since he's not running the the Countermagic thirst. I also feel like Nero, I was watching him do this run, maybe got a little bit lucky there not to run against any Titania's decks. Like I said, in my 2 runs, I had 7 out of 8 mirror matches, which is just, when you think about it, on the face of it, that's probably a problem with the current state of the game.
Somebody's just in what is it? They were asking who's talking in your background, but
hello.
He just has somebody in off to the side over there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they're just asking you who's in your background. So I had heard about this deck and I hadn't seen the exact
No, I think
build
he's
for it.
asking who I am. I'm pretty sure he's asking who I am.
Oh, well, that is Fridged. And
yes.
He is a streamer, and if you're not following him, make sure to check him out. He streams a lot more than I do. I just do the weekly show, and then I do typically a draft every week, and then constructed once in a while.
Well, not currently. I do not
currently?
stream. No.
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of just taking a break from the game. I'm not finding it particularly interesting right now to draft, which is mostly what I stream.
Well, there you go. Well, maybe he will come later. I think okay.
Never mind.
Anyways, let's talk about the Quash deck. So I had heard about this deck, and they were talking about it, and I was trying to figure out what the build was going to look like, and I didn't know that it was going to be this low shard rate. That's why I built the deck that I built last week that was more trolls and elves and that sort of thing, and I felt like that was a pretty nice build with a little bit more extension. This one feels like I think I actually played against this deck, and I Crocosword him on turn 4, and it was over. It feels like if I play something with toughness 3 or 4, this deck is going to have a really hard time dealing with it. But other than that, like, hopefully, as long as he gets good hands and I get bad hands, then I guess he can just push the damage through. So I don't know. How often have you run across this deck?
Oh, quite a bit. Like I said, I've grinded out about 180 packs or so in the Gauntlet queues. And, oh yes, there was some smashing of pots. You are correct there, Wook. This is probably the deck that beat me the most, which is still not saying a lot, as I believe I only got 3 losses in maybe like 7, 8 of my gauntlets. And this is the deck that, if they go on the play, and that's part of the reason that I switched to Heat Waves. I was running Succulent Cluckadon in place of the Heat Waves before. And turn 3 Cluckadon is very nice against this deck. Yep. It is very nice, I'm not going to lie. But it feels like Heat Wave does a lot more work.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I think I actually have
sometimes you pluck
Heat
on
Wave
turn
as well.
3, and it's just not enough. Whereas if you just have Crocosaur, if you just have Mana Dorks, it is in no way it's almost never enough if they're on the play, because this deck comes out very hard and very fast. If you're doing a turn 4 Crocosaur, I mean, you're probably dead already. You don't get to turn 4 to
How often do they level up their Kindling Scarn all the way? Pretty
I
often,
mean,
once in a while. It really doesn't matter. As long as they get to level 2, I think they're in pretty good shape.
Sometimes. It's just more that they need like a lot of 1-drops.
1-drops.
It's a fierce warlord deck.
Yeah.
It wants to be playing, 2-3 cards a turn, starting on turn 2, and just go, kill you by turn 3 or by turn 4. Yeah. Sometimes turn 5, but you're very low.
I mean, there's not even a single 3-drop in here. It's basically 2-drops and 1-drops. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's definitely cooking.
They are cooking. What's cooking? So more Cressida.
I don't know. Do you want me to find out? I can find out.
You can find out what they're.
What's for dinner, Laura? Hamburger, corn, cauliflower.
There you go. One last deck we'll just touch on here. It's just another kind of a mid-rangey deck, kind of a combo-y deck. So he's running Cranarch again, and he's running Mono Blood throughout the deck. But some of the interesting things here, he's got Doppelgadget, and he's trying to Doppelgadget like 5th book. He's got Fentio in here, and then Secret Lab and Talisman of Vitae. He's only running Vampire Princess. He's not running the King. He's running the Withering Touch, and he's running the 4 Inquisition, of course, for our namesake decks with the Titania's Majesty. It's pretty interesting to me. I guess Like, I didn't get exactly what he was doing, but then Fridge pointed it out to me, and I'll let him go ahead and do it so I won't steal his thunder. So what's he trying to do with his 5th book?
No, he's just getting Tarantulas out of your deck.
Right.
And, it seems to me awfully leaning quite heavily on Fentio here, so I guess you're kind of sad if you don't draw Fentio with this deck. I don't believe this guy even has another way to win, since obviously
Vampire Princess. That's kind of a slow way to win.
I've fallen prey to the Vampire Princess before, and by the time it got to the point where it was threatening to kill me, I was hard casting Calamities. I'm in no way afraid of a lone Vampire Princess. Yeah, no, so this deck leans awfully hard on Fentio. I feel like too much. I think he might have just gotten lucky either in his matchups or to get the Fentios every game.
Yeah. I mean, I pointed out the fact that, like, if I was playing this deck and I had 5th book and I didn't have Fentio, I would specifically search a target opposing deck and then remove 3 Titania's Majesty or start removing other cards. And Fridge was saying, like, he would never do that. He would just wait for the Fentio. And I don't know. It just seems like sniping some of the key cards out of my opponent's deck is kind of a big deal to me. And also, you get to see their deck, so you kind of know what's in their hands, because you should know what the Titania's build is by now. The only issue is you can't snipe out all the troops. You can only snipe out everything except for Calamity, because you put a Calamity in their graveyard and it just goes right back in their deck. So that's the only issues I was seeing there.
See, this is like why I love playing blood decks as Titania's Majesties. I've lost count of the number of times that they've Withering touched me and hit nothing, or hit a Chlorophylla I didn't even need. It's like we only run 4 Titania's Majesty, and like 4 Chlorophylla. So if you Withering touch me, odds are good you're not hitting anything at all. But you still need to do it before I hit my turn 3, or you risk death. So it's pure card disadvantage.
It feels like such a dead card. Yeah.
It's so dead. Literally the majority of the time, because I am running 29 troops in my deck. The odds that I have that Majesty in hand are not very high, and I'm just gonna beat you down with my big guys.
Yeah, and if they take your what is it? Your
Chloro.
Heat Wave. If they take Chlorophyll or Heat Wave, it's like okay. They take Heat Wave, it's like okay. That didn't really counter anything in this deck anyways, because everything is like
no, that was coming out for game 2 anyway.
So all right, so let's try and see what we can do to build a somewhat anti-Majesty deck. We got 22 minutes to do this, and then we also have to do the giveaway. So had some requests in my Twitter feed to try to do something Ruby Wild again. That's not going to happen because I'm pretty tapped out on ideas there right now to counter Majesty. So we're going to try to do something in Sapphire and Diamonds, because we saw no Sapphire last week, and I mean, this is going to be kind of a typical build, unfortunately. So with maybe some set 3 cards, and of course I've got Fridged here, so we've got his input, and that will definitely change some of the things, but it's not going to change that much, I don't think. So yeah, Fridged. What would you? So here's a kind of a controversial thing that I want to play in the deck. I want to play the Ansestors Chosen in this deck. I mean, what do you think about that?
There's been a controversy theme throughout this podcast.
Yeah, so there's a lot
I
of
do not think
today.
this word it means. I don't think it means what you think it means.
It doesn't mean what I think it means at all. No, not at all.
No, Ansestors Chosen is a perfectly fine play. What did you say? This is an anti-Titania's deck?
Somewhat. We're trying to make sure we're
one
ready
drops
for it.
are important against Titanians, since turns 2 and up, you're quite possibly, especially in Sapphire, holding open an answer to whatever they might play.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to do that, which Ansestors Chosen lets you do.
Putting down something turn 1 is super important. I don't think the field would have been 80% Titania's Boy. That sounds super high to me. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's not for me to say whether it's overpowered. It's certainly format warping. I feel it's currently the strongest deck. I would love to be proven wrong, but I usually like to bring the best deck to a tournament, and I feel like my playtesting and my deck building have been on top of their game for the last month and a half or so. So that's been super vindicating for me.
Yeah, actually, I played against a Sapphire deck in the in the Proving Grounds or whatever. Not Proving Grounds, but whatever. I was playing against it, and surprisingly, it was Ruby Sapphire, and it did pretty well against me because he had the counters and he had the Ruby, a lot of direct damage, where he was like doubling his direct damage with the Thunder basically brothers, I guess you could call them. The one that basically doubles the next action. He plays it twice, so you get two of them, and then the other one he gets to do what else with it? He gets to draw a card when he plays an action, if it puts that on there.
Oh,
So,
okay. So was it a Phoenix deck then?
It was not a Phoenix deck. It was just basically just like 12 direct damage cards, the Thunder Brothers, and
Eldritch Dreamer?
No, he wasn't in there. It was yeah,
Okay.
and then he didn't play counters. Actually, you know what? I think I have it recorded. Actually, that might have been during my ESL tournament, and I said, "Why didn't you play more counters?" I mean, like turn 2, like game 1, I didn't see counters. Game 2, I didn't see counters. And game 3, he said he sided him in, but he didn't see counters. So I was like, okay, well, you know, because like I started playing as if he didn't have counters in game 3. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we want peak in here.
No, probably not. Not if it's double color. Unless you're doing a lot of card draw, in which case peak is fine. But I don't think that's the direction you want to go in
No.
Sapphire Diamond.
No, I don't think so either. The biggest issue I think right now also is like for me when I play Root Father, like I throw.
Wait. Why are we building this in the TCG browser and not the client?
Oh, because the TCG browser gives me it's faster, and it gives me statistics.
Right, but
and other
it's
stuff.
kind of hard to see what you're building in this browser. Like, that was kind of the problem I had when we built the sealed deck. It's very hard to see what you've got so far. Whereas in the client, you can quite easily see what you've got so far.
Well, I mean, I kind of like have it. I'm just throwing in stuff. I mean, we can just kind of make suggestions. I'm going down the line. I just kind of have it, yeah, by memory.
Yeah.
What we already have, and then like we just make suggestions, and that's usually the way I go about it. But I don't know that it would be that much different in the client, like other than what you were just saying.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. No, that's fine. I was just curious.
In fact, I'll actually go out to this when I'm in the client and build decks. So Reese, still super powerful. I don't know that I would play 4 of them. I feel like 2 is better nowadays. I mean, what do you think about that, Fridge? Biggest issue is you can't play him until turn 4 if you drew shards. You know what I'm saying? Because you always have to represent counters for Titanias.
Not necessarily. It's not as easy to play Titania's turn 3 as it's made out to be. But yeah, sometimes. I think mostly it's right to just jam him turn 2. I think mostly it's just right to just jam him.
Okay, so you think 3 then, or 2?
I don't know. I don't.
You don't play this deck. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. Like, I know Martyr's gonna be super important here.
Yeah, Martyr is definitely a big one. I was just thinking that, and I'm not seeing it yet, so I'm just going to type it in so we can save some time here. The biggest issue, I think, what I was starting to say was that with
I've also gained some respect for King Gabriel. That invincibility really comes in handy against.
I did have somebody Gabriel me.
Yeah.
It did really well for them.
Yeah.
When I play Majesty decks, and tell me if you shard differently, but like with my Root Father, he sharded for a spell shield. Like in game 1, he sharded spell shield specifically for decks like this one that could target him, or blood decks. I mean, do you shard him differently? I shard him that way, and
because I expect to be playing against the mirror, right? The blood decks, the diamond decks, they're not decks that I usually lose to game 1, and I can always counter them game 2 with my sideboarding strategies. I expect the mirror, and I tailor my deck to try and gain an edge in the mirror, because it's so important to win those games where you lose the coin flip in the mirror. The mirror should be at the front of your brain when you're playing Titanias, so you want to be able to say, if they play, you know, some big play that's threatening to kill you in 2 turns, you want to be able to Majesty back and kill them in 1 turn. Is very important. Now, running Eternal Guardian as a 2 of, running Root Father as a 4 of, and running Walking Calamity as a 4 of, that gives you 10 hits for a 1-turn kill solution. Now, Eternal Guardian does not kill them precisely that turn, but 90% of the time, it means GG. In the mirror. Not in every matchup, God no, but in the mirror, it means GG generally.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've also had somebody, what is it called, monument my Crocosaur in response to his fight.
Oh yeah, of course.
Of course,
yeah.
that's always a good play. I'm sure they felt pretty good about that. Let's see, what else can we throw in here? It's reasonably good.
Yeah, 7 out of 8 matches, Blake. 7 out of 8 matches. Games mean something different, but yes. And I feel like because my deck was tailor-made for the mirror, that I had an edge there that allowed me to win 7 out of 8 mirror matches. So it's not clear-cut that just because you're fighting the mirror, like I lost the coin flip in a lot of those matches, and it's not.
I played 2 Titanias on the last round of ESL and didn't hit either time.
I was watching, yeah.
It was ridiculous. I was like, wow. Like I didn't hit anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. Oh man. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I think you hit a live lyricist.
Yeah. That. No, actually, I don't run live lyricist, but
okay. Yeah, somehow then, yeah.
Yeah, like the 2/2, I think probably is what I hit.
Mm-hmm.
Mastery of Time is still probably a card you want to run in here. Maybe as like a 2 of. Let's see, what else could we run in here? Living Totem is another one that's a nice 2-drop with Countermagic backup. Judgment is never going to happen. I just feel like there's just not a lot of good quick actions that are at a reasonable cost for Diamond or Sapphire that deal well with that Titania's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd probably feel more comfortable with like a Sapphire Ruby or Ruby Diamond deck than probably a Sapphire Diamond. Yeah, I don't know.
We may try next week. We may try that next week.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're running out of time here.
Oh, absolutely.
But we're doing our best. I did my best.
I did my best.
I did my best. Cripple is pretty, like, I don't know. I feel like
the end of this.
There's
this
a card that
there
may be a deck that actually wants to play this, but I don't know what it is. Like it's amazing in draft. I know that.
Yeah, the end of this episode brought to you by a simple plan, everybody. I did my best.
I did my best. Oh gosh.
Oh.
It just feels like everything's just too slow these days to deal. Like I don't even really want to run like Mirror Knight Cloud combo in this.
Oh, Mirror Knight is just not a thing anymore. No,
because
Mirror Knight's time's passed, which I'm honestly happy about. What an annoying little bastard that guy was. I'm glad he's out of the meta, even if it's just for a month. Like, go to bed already, Mirror Knight. You're done here. You're drunk. Go home.
Go home, Mirror Knight. I really wish Blessing of the Unicorn was better. I really wish that this was more playable.
I wish
it's the meta that's doing it.
I wish that Mono Diamond had become a thing. Obviously, they tried to push that in that direction by giving them a 1-cost 2/1. But yeah, it's just not the right time for White Weenie deck. It's not the right time.
It's not at all. Not with the crazy combos right now.
Mm-hmm.
Azure Fate Sorceress is not going to see a lot more play anymore. The only other thing
you're running around out there, though. I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Little drips and drabs.
Let's see. Where are those guys? Thunder. I like Seer in here because he can make my counters draw more cards for me. But at the same time, like I'm like, I don't know if this is really that great, you know. Besides that, all he does is like jump block for me.
That is a fantastic point, boy. Is that people, by and large, prefer to net deck. and that's not a value judgment. I'm not saying these people are bad because they net deck. I'm not saying
you should know what's out there.
It's even a necessary skill to do well in Constructed. It is not a necessary skill to be a deck builder. Deck building and playing are entirely separate spheres of skill. You should not have to be a deck builder just to say, hey, have people say, hey, that guy's good at Constructed. But, you know, there are very few innovators out there. I would say that, you know, I could probably count on one hand the number of people who are influential currently in the Hex deck building universe.
I'm not one.
Like supremely influential. So please don't think of this as a value judgment, but people generally, they don't innovate. They go with what they see as doing well, and that is definitely contributing possibly to the meta full of mirror matches, which is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If they're all mirror matches, then of course the winner is going to be a Titania's deck, since they had to beat a lot of other Titania's decks to get there.
When you're ready.
Let's see, what's the other one where it bounces the card for 2 in Sapphire? I always forget the name of this card. Cost 2. Also the client can crash. Time Ripple. So I mean, this should be okay to still do well in this format. I don't know that I really want to run King Gabe because it feels like a dead card, or Mastery of Time, or other things. I feel like I just kind of want to run this stuff and maybe run some Life Drain. Maybe run the Life Drain champion.
Perhaps, yeah.
I mean, it's basically, it hasn't really changed. I'm not even really adding, like, the only set 3 card in here is Martyr. And even that feels kind of bad, because the thing is, like, for me playing the elf version, it's like, okay, you martyred, now all my elves are bigger, and they're like a bunch of little elves running around. So
Prairie Feather is also quite nice in this meta, since Crocosaur is probably one of the most undervalued cards in the meta. Really, so many games revolve around Crocosaur. But people recognize that he's powerful, but yet he's still more powerful than people recognize. So being able to say, hey, you cannot kill my dude with Crocosaur, at least not this time, is quite nice. Sorry, did I say Prairie Feather? Prairie Meadow. The champion Prairie Meadow. Certainly a nice champion currently in Diamond decks. And one that's actually been doing quite well for a number of people.
Okay, yeah, sure, we can try that. That sounds pretty awesome. So yeah, I think that the 2 Reese, maybe 3 Reese, I feel like we just want to have a lot of like early things and then just sit on, at least represent Verdict. I mean, with this deck, even if you don't have the counters in hand, you pretty much have to represent them if you're playing against the other deck. Because if you don't, they're just like, okay, I'll do whatever I want. I mean, against bad players are going to do whatever they want to anyways. They're just going to like cast cards. They're going to be like, I don't care. I'm just going to play this crusted deck. But against good players, it's going to make them think twice. Like they're going to sit there and see what you're representing, and so like it really kind of depends on who you're playing against when you're playing the typical control deck like this one. But yeah, I mean that kind of works in your favor both ways. We do have to whittle it down from 65 cards here. We've got 23 shards in the deck as of right now.
4 Soul Marble and 4 Ripple is probably pushing it.
Yeah, I probably only need 3 Time Ripple. The big thing is like if on the off chance that they hit the Calamity, there's really not a lot you can do. I mean, you can Time Ripple it, I guess, is pretty good. But if you Repel it, actually that's what I was going to say. Repel is kind of really bad in that situation because you still die. You know,
well, I mean, if they're doing Calamity, then you need to counter magic the Calamity and then Ripple it. Otherwise, they're just going to recast it. If you make it cost 13, then at least they're probably not recasting it that game.
So maybe Ripple is better.
No, I'm saying Ripple's not very good.
Oh, Ripple's not very good?
Yeah, no, I've had Ripple played against me a lot, and I'm usually just shrug my shoulders and go, oh, well, thanks for the free card.
Maybe less Living Totem. Maybe one less Living Totem.
I definitely go down on the Soul Marbles.
And the Soul Marble. Yeah. Soul Marble is just such a slow card.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I've had people play Soul Marble. I'm just like, well, you'll never get there. And I'm just going to kill you. It doesn't really matter to me. Here's a bunch of elves. Yeah. I feel like that's a reasonably good build. It's going to take a lot of refinement.
I need a glass of water. I'll be right back.
I think we're pretty much closing out the episode.
Okay. It's not going to take me very long to get a glass of water.
Okay. So, I mean, if you have any other ideas on this deck or other cards you would throw in from set 3, I mean, I guess we have a couple of set 3 cards. We've got the Thunderfield Seer, and I do like this card because he's going to make all of my counters draw me cards, and my repels, that sort of thing. Your Martyr will draw you a card, your counter, which will keep you ahead, which is pretty cool. He's going to help you maybe stave off some damage from the what's it called, the Quash deck. Quash, like, you probably throw, what's his name, Buccaneer, and Buccaneer just deals with Quash. Like, I feel like Buccaneer by himself deals really well with Quash until you can get other things online anyways. Or if you happen to get your Angel of Free Winds in play, that also deals with Quash quite well. Let's look at what our count is on the deck draw. So we got 16 Diamond Shards, 25 Sapphire, so maybe Prairie Meadow isn't necessarily the best for this just because we have so many Sapphire, but then again, we do want the Diamond to play Angel Dance, so maybe we should just be playing more Diamond cards and find more Diamond cards for the deck to go in it. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much as good as it gets probably for this deck with the time that we have. Fridge, is there anything else you wanted to add to this deck or before we close out the episode?
To the deck, no. Before we close out, I just think we had pretty reasonable discussions here tonight, Aaron Squire. Thank you for having me back.
Always love to have you on.
And good luck out there, everyone, tomorrow in the nice big free tournament that's going on, and good games.
You're not going to be there?
Be excellent to each other. Yeah, I'll be there.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll all be there. So tonight on Deck Me with the Squire, we talked about the fact that I missed a lot of messages in Twitch, so I'm really sorry about that, and keep messaging me there, and I know where to go now. Or message me on other things, especially YouTube messages. Those are a lot easier for me to find because those come right up. We talked about the Jimmy Kimmel controversy tonight, and yeah, don't take it so serious. Why so serial, you know? Why so serious? So yeah, let's just set it aside. Just let that go. On to the Majesty controversy, and that was probably the more important one for our community, and the fact that, you know, the deck feels a little bit overpowering right now, and I think everybody's playing it, or everyone else is just getting beat by it. We talked about the ESL Beta Cup and how you need to hop on that because that could be $100 in your pocket if you sign up and do well in it. It is a single elimination, but and it's on Sunday nights, which isn't the best time necessarily for us
Oh, mama!
For us people, but you know. And then what was that? I'm not sure what "Whoa Mama" happened there, but anyways, VIP deck list. We talked through those. Saw some interesting stuff. And then there was a deck doctor where we tried to build something that's going to be reasonably good against the Majesty decks, those controversial Majesty decks, and that was pretty much the show tonight. So until next time, this is Aaron Squire signing off, saying God bless your families trying to rage too much. Make sure to stay tuned after the show for the giveaway, where we'll be giving away a convocation pack. And then, Fridge, do you have anything else to say right before we close out? Or any?
No, I do not.
All right, so check you guys later. A new one coming on next week, Dinotropia, probably. And then Fentio's trying to get me one of the developers on at some point in time. We're trying to get them on for the 75th, but it just didn't work out because they've been really busy.
Yeah.
They're too busy getting everyone their PvE to, come on the show.
Well, I hope so, man.
Which I guess is kind of a good thing. So.
Oh man, we need this out before the end of the year. We really do.
Yeah, we really need it out by like. It'd be nice to have it like around Thanksgiving weekend. I think would be nice if you could get it out right then. That'd be perfect.
October? That's a pretty tall order, man.
No, it's November.
November. No, it's the second weekend in October.
What?
Thanksgiving is the second weekend in October.
October is Halloween, dude. Halloween is the 31st.
That's the 31st.
And then Thanksgiving
like
comes
the 16th
after.
the 17th. No.
Thanksgiving comes after. It's always the third weekend
You're
of
nuts.
November.
No,
we have to
never
consult the Oracle. Consult the Oracle.
Thanksgiving has never once been in November. You're crazy, man.
November 26th.
Let me look this up.
November 26th. Consult the Oracle. The Oracle has spoken.
I will tell you when the truth, because he's trying to mislead you, folks.
I don't think there's anyone in my channel. That's the other thing, is I've had some other stuff.
It is October 12th. Thank you, Oracle.
Wait. Oh, you're in Canada? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm in Canada.
Oh, okay. You have a different Thanksgiving. Ours is in November.
I knew, Laura. I knew.
Wow. That's good times. All you Canadians, you Canucks. All right. Well, let's see. Let's make sure I've got my local recording going. It's going, so we're gonna go ahead and be quiet for a minute, and then we'll start right in on the episode.